Hey there, class. Mr. Prusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We are getting into 4.4 today, which the name of the lesson is the slope of a line. Our essential question is, what is slope and what are some different ways to calculate slope? So this whole chapter, chapter 4, is kind of about, lines and slopes of lines and stuff like that, slope-intercept form, intercepts, those kind of things. And so, so let's go ahead and get right into this. Slope is something you probably talked about in middle school math, but it is a very important topic for us. So let's get right into it. So, all right. So slope of a line is represented by what letter? Do you guys know what letter represents slope? It's actually an M, even though that makes no sense because there's not an M in the word slope at all, which is kind of silly, but mathematicians decided that's what we were going to do, and so we just got to do it, I guess. So slope is the number of units a line, I put up or down on my paper, I wrote the wrong thing, rises or falls. Or rises or falls for each unit it changes from left to right. Gotta fix that on my paper. And slope determines how steep a line is. All right, so if I have a slope of 5, is that going to be steeper or less steep than a slope of 10? Yeah, 10 is a bigger number, so it's going to be a steeper line. All right, that's hopefully pretty straightforward. I apologize for some of the axes in these notes. They got transferred over from old versions of Word, and they got kind of goofy, so just stick with me the best you can, and we'll be good to go. All right, so we are looking for the slope using this. We have this line right here we're looking at. We're looking for the slope. So I'm going to kind of label 2 points that make it easier to read here. It's not perfect on the graph, but we'll kind of stick with it here. So we need to do what's called rise over run, okay? So I like to start with the leftmost point, usually, and I like to go up or down to get to the next point and then over. You could also go from the rightmost point, but then you just got to be careful. Just like when you're graphing things, if you go up, that's a positive slope. If you go down, it's a negative slope. And if you go right, it's positive. If you go left, it's negative. All right, so you can start with the right-hand slope. We'll talk about that in a second. But I would usually, just to avoid any confusion, start with the left-hand point when you're calculating slope. All right, so to get from this point to this point, are we going to go up or down? We're going to go up. So I'm going to draw a line straight up. Maybe I should make this a little bit thicker here. We're going to go straight up from here. How many boxes was that? Looks like 1, 2, 3 boxes. So we went up 3, then we went over how many? 1, 2. Looks like we went 2 boxes. So our slope for this one would be, our rise over run would be 3 over 2. And that's how we would calculate it. Let me show you a different way. I'm going to use it in red because it's not ideal, but you can still do it this way. It's just people tend to goof it up when they do, so just be careful. Let's start at the right-hand point and go down to the left-hand point now. So if I start at the right-hand point, am I going to go up or down to get to the other point? I'm going to go down. So this is going to be down 1, 2, 3, right? So that's a negative 3 slope. We're going down, not in that slope, a negative 3 rise. Then we went left 2. So we get negative 3 over 2, or negative 2 that is, which is just positive 3 over 2. Okay, so that's why I like to just start with the left-hand point because then you don't have to worry about any negatives, and students goof that up all the time. So just try to stick with the left-hand point for your starting points, but you can go either way. It's just not ideal, okay? And then over here, this is M equals the slope, and slope is rise over run. So it's basically how far up and down you go over how far left or right you go. All right, let's go ahead and get into this here. We're going to draw what's called slope dude. Let's go ahead and draw a slope dude here. Okay, so just stick with me. We'll go nice and slow. This is kind of a goofy way to remember slopes, but it is kind of helpful. So draw a circle first. Move it up here a little bit. So we'll draw some ears. This is just a guy's face, so we're drawing. It's going to help us remember slope. We'll draw some hair. All right, so we have a face. So what we're going to do, this is called slope dude. Okay, so we're going to use different colors here. So on the guy's face, I'll talk you through what each of these are going to mean, and we'll kind of break it down on the right over here a little bit. Let me actually move this up a little bit. Okay, so let's use green. We're going to do the left eyebrow and the right eyebrow first, and then we're going to draw his eyes underneath it. His eyes are going to be kind of goofier, okay? So slope dude is a way to remember which kind of slopes are what. So you can have a slope that's going up from left to right, which is positive, down from left to right, which is negative, vertical, which is undefined, and horizontal, which is zero slope. And this is kind of a good way to remember it, all right? So first thing we're going to do is draw a line that slopes up from left to right like this. This is his left eyebrow or right eyebrow, however you want to think about it. And we're going to draw a little plus sign right here for his eye. Let's draw a little bit bigger. There's a plus sign. So that right eyebrow, I guess, facing us is, that's a positive slope. All right. Then we have his other eyebrow, which is going to be going down from left to right, which is going to be a negative slope. That's his other eye. That's really bad. Kind of hard to draw in here, but you get the idea. So going up from left to right is a positive slope. Going down from left to right is a negative slope. Now we're going to draw his nose. Okay, his nose is going to be a vertical line to take care of vertical lines, I guess. And we're going to draw a little U underneath to kind of show his nose. And this is an undefined slope. I can't draw. That is an undefined slope. It's a vertical line, and the U of his nose makes it an undefined. So this is kind of a visual representation of all the slopes. And then finally we have his mouth, which we're going to draw a horizontal line with 2 zeros at the end of it. And there's his mouth. So this face, as ugly and kind of weird as it is, it can be burned into your retinas. It'll help you remember which slopes are what. Okay? If you can remember the colors too, that helps. But let's go ahead and break it down on the right over here. So we have this equals a positive slope. We have the red one equals a negative slope. We have the vertical line with the nose underneath equals undefined slope. And the last one is we have a horizontal line with zeros at the end of it. The zero slope. Okay? I also have, we already talked about Hoi Vux, which I think is very useful and it is helpful, but that doesn't really talk about positive and negative slopes. But if this helps you, that's great. If it gives you nightmares, I'm sorry, but it is a useful tool to help remember which slopes are what, okay? So, yeah, but otherwise, Hoi Vux we're going to come back to in a little bit here. So let's draw a line with positive slope. Let's go ahead and do that. It says, so a line with positive slope, it's just going to go up from left to right. So I'm going to go like this. And there's the line with positive slope. I could put it there. I could put it over here. I could put it over here. I could draw it more steep like this. But those are all just extra, I guess. As long as it goes up from left to right, rises from left to right, that's going to be a positive slope. Okay. A negative slope, let's draw a steeper one now. We're going to draw kind of more vertical like this. This is a negative slope as it falls from left to right. It falls from left to right. Okay. Next page. And then from Slope Dude, these are all from Slope Dude actually, we have a zero slope, which is a horizontal line. So that's a horizontal line I can draw anywhere I want. I'm just going to draw it up here. I could also put it down here. Doesn't matter where I put it, but as long as it's horizontal. And then the last one we have is a undefined slope. So all horizontal lines have a zero slope. All undefined lines have, all vertical lines have an undefined slope. I hope I said that right. All horizontal lines have a zero slope. All vertical lines have an undefined slope. So this is a vertical line. And why is it undefined? Well, when we do rise over run, you'll get something like 5 over 0. Can we divide by 0 or no? we'll get a rise of 5, something like that, or a run of 0. You can't divide by 0, so that's why it's undefined, is because so if you ever are kind of confused about that, which one is which, this one would be something like 0 over 4. And you can divide 0 by anything, which is just going to be 0, but you can't divide by 0, if that makes sense. So this is okay. This is okay. This is not. Okay? Just for some reference here. You can divide 0 by any number you want, but you cannot divide any number by 0. Kind of hard to remember, but just remember if 0's in the bottom, that's an issue. Okay, let's go ahead and do this here. We have plot each pair of points and draw the line that contains them. After plotting the points, determine if the slope is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. And also calculate the slope by counting the rise and the run. Okay. Well, let's plot these points. We got 2, 5, so that's going to be which direction? Positive 2 is right 2, positive 5 is up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to use a skinnier marker now. Right 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1, 3 is negative 1 is left 1. Positive 3 is up 1, 2, 3. So here is our line. That was pretty solid for a first try. Okay, now let's go ahead and use this color to figure out the rise of a run. So remember, do we start with the right point or the left point first? Start with the left point. It's going to make your life easier. Okay, you just got to be careful if you use the right point. So we go from this point to this point, we need to go up or down first of all. We do rise first. We're going to go up 2. We go up 2. Okay? It's always rise over run, not run over rise. You go up or down first. Some people do like the run first. They go like this and then this. But that's not technically what slope is, rise over run. So I would say always do the rise first or else you're going to confuse yourself. Okay? So it's a rise of 2, then we go over to get to the point, and that looks like it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we get 2 over 3. So our slope equals 2 over 3. And is that a positive slope? Yeah, it's a positive number, so it's going to be a positive slope. And it slopes up from left to right. I'm not going to get fancy with this here. All right, number 2. 3, negative 5, and negative 5, 5. So we're going to go, so positive 3, negative 5 means go right 3, down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And negative 5, 5 means go left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a line, so it's going to be hard to do. Not bad. I'm going to use red. So then to get from the left point to the right point, are we going to go up or down to get to the other point? We're going to go down. So we're going to go down all this way. We got to count those boxes. That was really bad. Just going to kind of shade down a little bit. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you go down 10. Is that positive 10 or negative 10? Or positive 10 or negative 10 if I go down 10? It's negative 10. We went down 10. Then we went over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We went to the right 8. Is that positive 8 or negative 8 if we go to the right on the graph? The positive 8. So we get, I'm going to write down here, negative 10 rise over run, negative 10 over 8, which reduces to, divided by 2 on the top and bottom, we get negative 5/4. All right, and that's going to be a negative slope because it's a negative number. Give me 1 sec. I'm not going to pause the video because I'm just need to get a little warm right here. So, okay, moving on. 2 more of these examples, and we got to move on to something else, which is very important too. All right, so we have negative 3, 4. We have negative 3, 4, and we have 2, 4. So negative 3, 4 is, negative 3 means left 3, positive 4 means up, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4 means go right 2, positive 4 means go up 4. And you can see this is what kind of line? It's straight sideways. That's vertical or horizontal? That's a horizontal line. So a horizontal line has what kind of slope? A horizontal line in Hoi Vux, Hoi, it's a 0 slope. So automatically, horizontal automatically equals 0 slope. Okay? You can automatically, you don't even do any math. But let's do the math anyways here, okay? So starting at the left point, going to the right point, do we go up or down at all or no? We do not go up or down at all. So our rise is 0, and then what's our run? We go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So our run is 5. This is kind of clunky to see because you can't see the rise because there is no rise, but let's just stay with me here. So our rise over run is 0 over 5. What does that reduce to? Can we divide 0 by any number? We can. We get 0. So automatically it's going to be a 0 slope because it's a horizontal line. You don't even need to do the rise over run. If you see a horizontal line, boom, 0 slope. But if it helps you to do it, feel free to do that as well. But it really needs to become automatic. This is a big struggle every year, and for most students, for a lot of students, and I really can't explain it. Like, it's just kind of an automatic thing. You got to know when you see a horizontal line, it's Hoy Bucks. It's a horizontal line, 0 slope, and it's y equals a number is what it's going to be like y equals, this is y equals 4 is the equation of this line, okay? So, I'll just leave that there actually. It's y equals 4 is that's the equation of this line. It's just a horizontal line. I can't break it down much more. It just kind of is. It's just kind of a thing you kind of have to memorize and know, okay? And I wish I could help more, but like it's frustrating because I just can't. It's just like it's just something you got to do and know, all right? So make sure you practice Hoy Bucks, remember slope dude, and that's going to help. All right, next one. Now we have 2, 5, and 2, negative 1. We're going to go right 2, positive 2, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, negative 1 is right 2, down 1. Connect our line. That's not going to work, is it? Oh, still pretty bad. Hard to see, but there's our vertical line there. Oh, it's a vertical line. What kind of slope is it? Automatically. It's an undefined slope in bucks. And vertical line, undefined slope, and x equals a number is the equation. This is an undefined slope. The equation of this line is x equals 2. It's literally what it is. It's just x equals 2. It's a vertical line through 2. Okay, so we'll talk more about that later, possibly in this video, unless we talked about it in the last lesson. I can't remember, but yeah, a horizontal line is y equals a number like this. A vertical line is x equals a number wherever it crosses the x or y axis. So, okay, so this is going to be a undefined slope. But let's go ahead and do rise over run too, just to kind of help with this. So starting with there's not really a left or right point. There's the top or bottom point. We're gonna start with the bottom point here. So is there a rise? There is a rise. Use a different color. We have a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's the run? Do we go left or right at all? We don't, so we're going to put a 0 there. So our slope, our rise over run, which is rise is 6, over run, which is 0. 6 divided by 0 is what? Can we divide by 0? We can't, so it's undefined. Okay. So, slope dude, Hoy Bucks. We'll come back to Hoy Bucks at the end of this lesson, but to make sure we remember it, but it is very important. Okay, now this is also a very important idea. This is finding slope using a formula. So sometimes we're not given a graph. Sometimes we're just given either equations for lines or we're given points, and we have to find the slope just using those points. And we can do that algebraically, which is pretty cool. So the slope of a line through 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, these are not, these little 1s and 2s here, these are just labels. It's basically saying the first point and the second point, okay? They are not exponents. This is not like x to the first power, y to the first power. It's just saying, like, it's a label. You could have x3, y3. You could have, x4, y4. You can just keep going. It's just like a way to label the points without getting too confused. Because if you use x and y for one point, you can't use x and y again or else you get confused, okay? So a slope formula is this. It is, we have these two, x1, y1, x2, y2. The formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus, x1. And another way you could say that is this triangle means change. It's delta. Change in y over change in x. But the biggest thing you want to remember is this one right here. I just wanted to fill in the blank because there was a blank there and I felt bad that it was not filled. So, Yeah, y2 minus y1, so we're going to have m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that's the formula. And all you got to do is label your points and plug it into the formula. So it says find the slope of the following points using the slope formula. Okay, so first thing we got to do is label our points. So I'm just going to label them. You just got to make sure you label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to go x1, y1, x2, y2. Do you think it matters if I flip these around? It actually doesn't. It doesn't matter. The cool thing about this formula is it works regardless. So if you wanted to call this x2, y2, and x1, y1 like that, that would work. Just make sure that every point you can't go like you can't go like people sometimes do stuff. They go x1, x2, and y1, y2 like that. These are points, and every point has an x and a y coordinate, okay? So you can label the points however you want, x2, y2. Oops, that's not what I wanted. You can label it however you want, but you need to make sure every point has an x and a y, okay? So for now, we're going to stick with x1, y1, x2, y2 just for simplicity's sake. But it works either way, no matter how you label the points. Just make sure every point has an x and a y. Okay, so we're going to plug into the formula, which was m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're literally going to plug it in. So we have y2 was 3 minus y1 is 5 over, and then we have x2 is 4. Now here's the tricky thing, okay? It is, it's always minus, but we have 4 minus, what is x1? It's minus negative 6, right? So you got to be careful here. So we have to do chop, chop. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So this is going to equal 3 minus 5 over 4 plus 6. I should actually get rid of these. Keep those negatives there. Okay, so minus a negative, you always chop, chop, and make it a positive. So now we got to simplify this. What's 3 minus 5 going to be? It's negative 2. What's 4 plus 6? That is 10. Always attempt to simplify. We'll always do simplify your fractions at the end. So what number goes into 2 and 10 nicely? Well, they're both even numbers, so 2 goes into every even number. So 2 divided by 2 is, we're going to have negative 1 on top, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So we get negative 1/5 as our slope. So if you were to graph these points and use radius over run, you would get negative 1/5. It would be the exact same thing. All right, number 2. Okay, so again, we have 5, 2, and negative 7, 2. I'm going to call these x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to plug into the formula. Make sure you memorize this formula. It's very important. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus, x1. So our y2 is 2 minus y1 is 2 over negative 7 is x2 minus 5. All right. What is 2 minus 2 going to be? That's 0. What's negative 7 minus 5? Negative 12. What is 0 divided by negative 12? Is this undefined or 0? This is 0 because we can have 0 on the top. We can't have 0 on the bottom. This one's just going to be, our slope is going to be 0. What kind of line is this if it has a slope of 0? Is it horizontal or vertical? Hopefully you said it's horizontal because it is. Zero slope is a horizontal line. Okay. All right. Last example. This one's a little tricky, so just stay with me, and then we're going to revisit Hoy Bucks, and we're going to call it a day. So almost done here. Find y when m equals 3 and the ordered pairs are negative 1, 5, and 3y. So we are looking for y in this case. We actually know what the slope is, which is 3. So we're going to use the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But we actually know we're going to plug in the slope right here. We're going to solve for one of the values. So we're going to solve for one of the y coordinate, I guess, of the second point. So we're going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to plug 3 in for m because 3 equals m. That's our slope. y2 is just y, minus y1 is 5, over x2, which is 3, minus negative 1 is plus 1, okay? It's 3 minus negative 1, right? Because it's a negative 1 right here. It's always minus, but it's minus negative 1 becomes plus 1. Okay, so now we can simplify this. 3 equals y minus 5 over 3 plus 1 is 4. Now I need to get y by itself. So am I going to add 5 or multiply by 4 first? In this case, we're not going to do addition and subtraction first because we have this is all over a fraction. We're actually going to multiply both sides by 4. That's what we're going to do first. So 4 times 3 is 12 equals y minus 5. Those 4's cancel. And then how do we get y by itself now? Now we add 5 to both sides. 17 equals y. Okay, and now we're going to revisit Hoy-Bucks really one more time because it's very important, okay? Hoy-Bucks. All right, so this is another thing important with longest slope dude. H stands for it's a horizontal line. The O is not really an O. It equals slope. The slope is 0 for a horizontal line. Every equation of a horizontal line is y equals some number. It could be y equals 2. It could be y equals, 17. Y equals -1. It's always the equation is y equals a number. It will always look like this. And then the last thing we also want to put is it crosses the y-axis. It crosses the y-axis. All right, and then Vux. V stands for it's a vertical line. U stands for an undefined slope because you can't divide by 0. And every equation of a vertical line is going to have the form x equals some number. X equals 2, x equals 5, x equals -4. This is always what the equation of a vertical line is going to look like. It just is a given. It's going to crosses the x-axis. Okay, so this is a very important topic, and that is all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you soon.